I want to thank y'all for coming today. We're going to speak about the fascination with genealogy. And why do we go in the search of our ancestors and their lives? We all have different reasons we decide to go in search of our genealogy profile. Some choose the adventure to see if they're related to anyone famous, which is curiosity that guides us. Others may come across old photographs, and consequently, we start wondering who these people are. We find out who the photograph is and the history behind that photograph and the events that took place. Then we have all the many stories that our grandparents tell us, our great-grandparents, and even our great-aunts and uncles. Usually they're very pretty interesting and they don't leave out any details. Through the years, though, they tend to twist the stories and as they get passed down. The question that we all wonder sometimes, does our genealogy, our ancestors, and the things that they do make us who we are today? The beginning of the journey can be exciting when you find the first clue. Getting started usually isn't too difficult because nowadays we have sites like Ancestry, Family Search, Find a Grave are very good sites to use. They also have DNA today that will help you in search and connect you to people across the world. In the old days, that wasn't very easy to do. You had to rely on your grandparents' stories, your mother's stories, father's stories. You had to actually go to the libraries. You had to go to the public records. It wasn't as easily done back in the old days. Usually, the people that you find that can help you, they can help you get across the brick wall that you may have. A brick wall is where you get stuck on a relative that you can't find any more information about. You start with their name, birth date. If you have their death, have a place that they originally lived in, you can go to the census and find them that way and go on your journey. Finding someone famous can be exciting. Why are your ancestors famous? Kings, queens, maybe a movie star. Some of us may have some that are famous for not so good reasons. A famous bank robber in Holday Zeta by the name of Red Goldman, or someone that is connected to the notorious pirate Jean Lafitte could be embarrassing to some people. But it can also be very intriguing, more intriguing than a king as your 8th great-grandparent. On finding out these facts, does it make you dive even more into the search for your ancestors? More than likely, yes. Some would say that it can become an obsession with the dead. Stories from the past told by grandparents, great aunts, and uncles can lead you down the road of your discovery of the past. If only we could write down the stories that we could pass them on next. The information would not get twisted. After years of stories being passed down from generation to generation, important information is lost and even changed. It can make things difficult for your research, such as I was told my grandfather was placed in Buckner Orphanage back when his grandmother died because the grandmother was raising him. And through the years we have done this research, but we have yet to confirm this with documentation. We have pictures and we have stories from my mother. He would take her to this orphanage growing up. So this would be my brick wall on that side of the family. Many of us have different nationalities within us: German, French, Native Indian, or even Scottish. Does our lineage make us who we are? Being German doesn't mean that we're a family of Nazis. They come from Germans. They could be Germans from the great country of Prussia. Prussia was once a tremendous leading power in the world. After World War II, when the Red Army and the Americans came into Prussia, it was known as the extermination of Germans. A lot of them fled out of fear of their lives into America. English ancestors come to America in the 1700s, being the first settlers in the 13 colonies. During your research, you'll learn that many of your family immigrated to America. Was it for fear, prosperity, or adventure? Some relatives came to America to get away from the English crown and religious persecution. Unfortunately, once in America, there became another form of prosecution. Families that stood up for their religion, such as William Cole, was a member of the House of Burgess in Virginia. Cole family was very prominent.
sorry.
And after fighting their fate, they left the area to live in peace with other Quakers. Genealogy is a big history lesson across the world, and we can learn more, not just in the classroom. Genealogy and the hunt for our ancestors and the stories that make us who we are. Many of the events that shape our families do make us who we are. We learn from the past how our families may have gone through hardships, whether it had been from great leaders in history or just an indentured servant that came across on the Mayflower to America in hopes of dreams and start anew.
That is adorable. No, I thought you had to do this for like, it was very, 20 minutes.
No, 5 or 6. Oh, you can turn it off now.
Oh, I don't know how to do that.
So, now you have